Ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ bá jó, ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ bá jó, olúwa mi ò dìde ojó ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀.
Welcome to Theory Forge, the Ashen Forge, actually. I got really thrown off there right at the last second with the music. Yeah, I'm Phantom X, joined as always by with Diggs and legendary Neurotoxin. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
My screens are all kind of weird right now because we're doing something different. Instead of sort of our normal, let's talk about it kind of conversation, we're going to actually watch the stream together, or parts of it at least, and just sort of get kind of our quick thoughts. We'll still do Sunday show and probably a little bit more in depth. But thought, hey, this is something different. Let's try it. So has anybody already watched it?
Yeah, I watched it and then I rewatched parts of it because I realized the first time I watched it, I wasn't entirely paying attention.
So, and everybody,
I was, working on other stuff too.
Yeah. So, as the video goes, just, if the volume's not right, let me know in chat and join in too. We want this to be sort of interactive discussion, kind of about some of the stuff that we've seen. This is the first action tab combat example, something or other. I guess we'll get to it. So I'm just going to press play. I don't know. Do you want to go over the studio update, or you have something you want to?
I'm not actually 100% sure if it's the first hybrid combat system of this kind. I just don't know a specific example.
Yeah, and I was more referring just to what they've shown us from them, since they had spent basically all of their battle, the APOC trying to refine the action component. Which is interesting when they say that they still have a long ways to go, but we'll get to that. So I think the stream was about an hour and 15 minutes. I might just, do you want to go over the studio update or just go straight into design and the videos and kind of talking about?
Yeah, we can hit the studio update.
All right, well, here we go. Press and play. Just let me know when to stop. If you want to talk, I'll try to hear you.
Okay.
Everyone, welcome to our development update for August 2020, or September? I don't remember what month it is. No.
We're in August.
Yeah, we're in August. How are y'all doing? I hope you guys have been good. I feel like I just talked to you moments ago, so it's weird. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, I think.
Doing very, very good. Excited to be on another monthly live stream. Got a lot of stuff to show. Doing some recording yesterday.
Yeah, so I'll kind of go over what we'll be covering today, and then we'll get right into it. So we have lower thirds now because people kept asking who we are, so there you go. But it's not about us, it's about Ashes of Creation. So here we go. Today's update, we'll have a studio update from Steven. We did announce some stuff with My Games, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We do also have a design update. We have some in-game footage, actually 2 videos for you this time around, and environment art update as well, with some cool assets in that end, and a character update with another video as well. And then we'll go into our Q&A, which we've got quite a few questions. We'll probably get through 10 of them, but maybe we'll try for more if we can. We did get a lot of questions in the forum thread, so thank you so much for putting those in there. I know Toasty's gonna try her darndest to answer as many as possible because there were a lot of repeat questions in there as well. So for quick updates, I'm just gonna quick show those. We have our next dev discussion. So our next dev discussion is coming up in September. Stay tuned for it. All I'm going to give you is a sneak preview of immersion is going to be the topic. get ready for that. We are compiling the dev discussion from the previous one, so I think that report already went out to the design team, correct, Jeff?
I sure did.
We also have a sweet coloring book for you guys. If you check out our ashesofcreation.com/news, which also is a great place to get all of our news, everything's always there, even our live streams. I've now started uploading those as well. So everything's up there. We will be getting a fresh new look to that page too someday. So stay tuned. I'm really excited.
By the way, I just wanted to chime in. The participation that you guys out in the community have had in the dev discussions is very appreciated. It's really great to see different, opinions and comments and experiences, and all of those things kind of go to further reinforce, a lot of the design decisions that we've made with Ashes of Creation, and it's very beneficial for the team to kind of get that very eclectic, view from a lot of you guys as players. And please don't stop participating in those discussions. It's very, very helpful.
Yeah, and those, Toast does a great job of thoroughly going through every single comment. So don't worry, you're getting heard. And sometimes the example ones that she provides for the links for the dev team are it gets really long because there's been so many conversations happening with that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, you sometimes think you understand what the audience wants, but actually hearing it, directly in an organized way really helps to, laser focus us and get us on the right track. So yeah, keep it coming.
Yeah, awesome. And of course, those are up on the page for the coloring book if you want to participate. We've seen a lot of folks posting those, so that it's been really awesome seeing that. And we have our next cosmetic. We always tell you whenever the swap over is on the news post, so definitely stay tuned for that. But our swap over will be September 2nd, 2020 at 11 a.m. Pacific, as noted in the article. So do keep a note of that if you're interested in the boons of the Waveborn goodies. And we also have... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I wanted the snail.
Yeah.
I was also going to say, I leaked a little bit of the next month's stuff too, so...
Stephen got a little excited and shared them. People are really funny because they're messaging me "Oh no, Margaret, don't get mad at Stephen for sharing them." I'm never mad at Stephen. Don't worry, guys.
That's not true. She beats me.
That's true.
Don't say that. People are gonna really think I do that.
I'm blinking twice.
That's good.
I really had fun with that next set that's coming up. If you're interested in fire elemental goodies and stuff like that. So yeah. And then the last thing on there, I believe, is the pandemic statue, which is this bad boy. It looks amazing. So as long as you've registered before that date, I believe it was in September. I'll have to double check that date. But yeah.
I was looking for a face mask.
If you're already registered, you're good. So without further ado, I think we're just going to go right into the studio update. If you want to take that away, Stephen.
Absolutely.
Am I too quiet? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. Am I too quiet?
You sound fine to me.
Everyone's level for me.
Okay. Sorry. I keep saying them say.
People have to turn up.
I'm glad I am not the only one that goes through
just
this.
to give
Yes,
a
I was
little
muted again.
studio update, we are a good ways through our hiring, our current hiring phase. We had listed 24 positions, but I believe as of yesterday, we are at 16 of those 24 positions have been filled over the past 5 weeks. So we're very appreciative of you guys helping to kind of spread the word for the studio, for our hiring goals. It's been very helpful. We've had a tremendous flow of very, very, very talented developers applying to the studio, very passionate and excited about the project. And that's always, great for us as a company, as a team, to get that influx of passionate, very talented developers. We're very appreciative of that. So we will have additional rounds of hiring in the future, in the near future, actually. And if you did not, make it through to the final stage of the process, for those of you who have applied, keep your chin up. There will be additional opportunities in the future. So we're very, very happy about that.
Yeah, just the
sorry,
design candidates have been just amazing. And so it's been really hard to kind of really separate the top tier guys from below. So, if you haven't gotten an offer, you haven't talked to Steven yet, hold on tight because there's just so many of you.
Yeah, I haven't done anything.
I mean, I paused it there.
You guys just need to.
Because that's I realized I unfortunately didn't have a website and they needed a portfolio because my old website went to trash. The old host kind of ghosted me. I think he became a crypto millionaire and then ghosted everybody. But anyway, I had to kind of rebuild my portfolio. Might as well do it with more relevant stuff in the past few years anyway. And by the time I got that and the CV and stuff together, I don't think they were really necessarily looking for designers anymore, but I did put in for the design position. Initially, I thought about the junior design position because, okay, that's fun, easy stuff to do. But realistically, the mid-level design position's more where I'm supposed to be at this point in my career. So I applied for it. I know other people that applied for it, and I wish them well as well. Obviously, if they're doing more rounds of hiring and stuff, this probably won't be the last I hear about it. But I did get the, default response that, we got your application. We'll let you know if we need you. But again, after a month of receiving design applications, I'm sure they've got a lot to sort through and work through already. But yeah, I've known people that did apply there and, look like a pretty fun sort of thing and pretty workable place to be. So, cool stuff. San Diego's not terribly far, so once it stops being remote, it's not like the longest move in the world for me. We'll see.
And Maggie will have to remember it's been, 6 years since she saw you last? So I'm sure you've grown.
6 years? Are you kidding me? We hung out at TwitchCon last year.
Okay, you found her last year. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, it was okay. So the funniest thing, I didn't recognize her in the SMR costume. So I just saw this like angel person surrounded by everybody walking away. I was like, that's an elaborate costume. And then I'm walking around in my light suit during the performances during the TwitchCon party or whatever. And apparently Maggie and her crew were like right behind me the entire time, but they didn't realize I had been moving around, weaving back and forth through the place too. And they were apparently behind me the whole time, but didn't realize it was me. And then finally we meet up. It's like, oh, hey, Maggie, you're at the SMI. And she's like, oh, hey, Nero, you're the light suit dude.
Nice. Cool.
And then we put Maker's Mark and White Claw. Excuse
That
me.
sounds terrible.
We put whiskey in a other thing. Don't mind those other products I mentioned. It wasn't those.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, thank you. It's seems like a pretty good sort of deal, and seems like a project I'd be able to actually lend a lot to now that I've had experience doing approximately everything else in the game industry over the past 6 years.
Project.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can project.
I don't want to blow.
All right.
Everyone was like, "It's better." I'm like, "I didn't do anything." But go ahead.
So then
Steve.
to further elaborate on the studio update, as was announced previously, due to COVID, we're still working from home. The hopes were that we would be in the new office by this month and or next month. Unfortunately, as I've announced previously, it's likely not going to be until the beginning of the new year. There was an opportunity perhaps for us to move into the new studio come November or December timeframe. However, with the release of the initial Alpha 1 being at the end of this year, I figured that would just be too much potential for disruption within the studio to orchestrate not only the release of the Alpha 1 client, but also a studio move. So we're going to be postponing that until the start of the next year. We also made an announcement with regards to the publishing of Ashes of Creation. Intrepid Studios has opened a entity within the Netherlands, within Amsterdam. We are hiring currently for the office that will be in Amsterdam. Those positions at the moment are going to be remote. So if you know any good European community management and or marketing teams or developers that you like, take a look at the positions that are open for the EU region and spread the word for that. We're very excited about that new adventure. And it's going to be fun to see how that turns out.
Yeah, it'll be fun for me too, because a lot of that is handled on my team's side. So we'll have fun doing a lot of cool stuff on that front.
Absolutely. So that's
Yeah.
the development. Otherwise, is moving along rapidly as usual. We did in the studio just update from 4.23 Unreal Engine 4 to 4.25. It did introduce some bugs, but we're in the middle of squashing them. The team's doing a great job in doing that. We'd like to obviously stay up to date as much as possible with the new engine versions that come out, and that's always a little bit of a process when we do that migration. So things are looking good. Things are going well.
Did you want to talk more on that migration front at all?
I gotta say, like, it's fun to like always play with the new tools that we get in the new releases, and since we skipped kind of 2 releases in one go, there's a lot of cool stuff that we got to learn about and integrate and figure out how to take advantage of. So that is something that we really enjoy. What's in my mouth?
Something
I don't know. Someone's saying that
That's right, and then
Yeah, the lower third.
chat
Because
starts
your
trolling
camera's
him
zoomed
about
in, like, real
that.
close
I
to your
think
face.
I was super
5 or
confused.
yeah,
with that.
5 or 6 people said, "Jeff, how can you open your mouth?" And you see, you did it there one time, and then they all got kicked out of chat. So great.
I have a real quick question before we move on. I feel like most times, unless it has to be done, when you're working with either Unity or Unreal Engine, it's not necessarily that common to change with the engine, right? Because of the introduction of bugs.
I don't know as much about this with Unreal, but Unity is always perpetually a burning garbage fire. I love it. I love it as an engine that's, fun and weird and quirky, but it is always a burning garbage fire because Unity does not make first-party games. They make a tool and everybody else reports on it. They don't have
I guess you're
a
right there.
first-party in-house, dev team that's dedicated to making projects with it. So there's a lot of things that they just leave hanging, and eventually they fix. And it's one of those things where, unlike the Unreal Engine, you can't get to the nittiest gritty level and make modifications to source code with Unity as you can with Unreal. So Unity is very limited. Unreal, even if the thing is completely broken in the version that you decided to settle on, you can completely fix it yourself. You can't do that with Unity. Unity's always had problems. It's always going to have problems. It's great for 2D. It's great for porting everywhere. But it's always going to be a little bit problematic in that way. That and there's other compiler's non-deterministic. It doesn't compile the data the same way every time. Like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Gotcha.
Compared to everybody else.
But to kind of further a little bit elaborate on that, 4.25 did have a lot of changes from an art perspective as well, and a lot of our artists are very, very happy with what's come along in the latest update. So that's always great to see too. And by the way, I know Margaret announced, but we do have, I believe we have 3 videos, not just 2, right? We have
Yeah, I said 2 for the
nice.
design and 1 for character.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So if you don't have anything else to add for studio update stuff, we'll move on to our next thing. But obviously, if you have any questions about the My Games stuff, definitely check out our FAQ. It's on our website on the news section. It's also in our links from our forums too. So we've also linked it to all our social media. So definitely go check that out if you have any questions. We'll have further information on the migration front coming out soon. So stay tuned to that. And yeah. We're excited for all the new folks that are joining our team. So moving on, we're going to play a video because we're going to move on to our design section. We're first going to play a video that's going to talk about the hybrid combat. We know that folks have been asking a lot about this. Obviously, a reminder that we're in like early stages of things on this front, but it should give you kind of like a good feel for it. And then we'll grab a couple questions and we'll answer those, and then we'll move into our next segment.
Just to preface this video, guys, again, I always want to emphasize that the UI that you're going to see here is placeholder. Not a lot, there's still a lot of polish that's necessary and optimization. This is a very initial implementation of the hybrid combat, but just wanted to give you an idea of what's going to be experienced in Alpha 1 and how we'll iterate from there. So yeah.
This is
And of
pancake
course,
batter.
taking feedback, we'll always take feedback and assess things as we go forward too. All right, so I'm going to toss that video over. We'll see you in about 10 minutes.
I'm just saying, it's not the pancake. You're not
Hey
going to eat the
everybody,
pancake batter.
welcome to another
eat the
video
pancake
in
batter.
Ashes of Creation. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the hybrid combat system that's currently kind of first pass, early iteration of integrating the action components along with the tab targeting type component. So before we kind of take a look at this stuff, I just want to reiterate that this is the early look at Alpha 1. It is the preview. And you know, a lot of the systems are very first pass, and you know, it's up to the testers that we're going to have present in the different phases of alpha and beta, kind of helping us to fine-tune and iterate upon these implementations. So you know, one of the most important things to keep in mind as you're watching this stuff is that you know, a lot of the art, while it looks, you know, great, we have an amazing artist team, but a lot of the art is first pass, including especially the UI. So keep that in mind. A lot of this UI is placeholder and will be further fleshed out as we get more along in the project. So talking a little bit about the hybrid combat system. Let's take a look at the skill system. So this is where players allocate skill points into their different either active skills, their passive abilities, which can augment their usage of weapons and armors and their health regeneration and passive stats and stuff like that. On the weapon side of things, you know, that's where you will spec into certain types of procs based off of weapon groupings. So, you know, we've talked a little bit about this in the past. If you have a dagger, daggers might have a chance to proc a bleed on your weapon attack, and that would synergize with an active skills ability, like let's say backstab, that does additional damage if the target is under a bleed effect.
Wait,
Now,
hold on.
we've said in the past that players will
Doesn't
be able
that
to...
mean all? It's not just daggers. Wouldn't all stabbing flat blades cause bleeding? Like that? Why is it just a dagger thing? It's like, haha, I'm a sneaky assassin. I use a dagger, and now you bleed. It's like, no, you're gonna bleed if you're hit with any edged weapon, and if you get hit with a bludgeoning weapon, you're going to bleed internally. So there's still going to be bleeding involved. It's kind of weird that they just call it out. I mean, it's an example to use, I suppose, but okay.
Bleed has a specific meaning that's not the same thing as blood.
Can I put daggers on my arrows then, and have arrows that make people bleed?
No, that's a different thing.
Aww.
It's terminology, not.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, internal bleeding is the new road.
It's pancake batter.
No, it's bleeding. All right.
Now, I'm not sure if that was a typo. Did you mean the new Rogue or the new Rouge? Because I think you actually got it wrong the wrong way this time.
If you're bleeding, it's Rouge.
Yeah. There you go.
Take skill points into their active skills that are more geared towards either action combat or tab targeting. And, you know, as an example, you can kind of see, you know, these skills can have additional points allocated to them to unlock further features. Some of them can be tabbed to start and become action if you allocate additional skill points. And this is one of the ways that we kind of balance the skills between action and tab targeting, you know, requiring additional...
No, I was just saying that the skill points being placed into allowing you to switch from, say, passive to active within a skill. That's intriguing. I'm curious. I'm interested. How does that work?
No, that's not what was said though. What was said was from tab target to action.
Sorry, that's what I meant. What did I say? Passive to action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm still curious how that. You know, that's really not. I can't think of anything where that. I'm trying to think in my head. Have I ever had a game like that?
So-
Like, how will
You'd
that
have to
work?
have a hybrid. It'd have to be hybrid, right? That I'm
Yeah,
not
it
aware of a
would have
hybrid tab
it would
target
have to be
action.
something that works like that. I think it might be something where you're not just putting points in and it just automatically goes from one mode to another, so much as what you're investing in is the modality by which you're changing it from tab targeting to action targeting. So it could be that it's an area effect spell that you would normally cast straight on an enemy, but the way that you invest in it to use it for action is that you decide to use the version where it just bursts right in front of you with that, or bursts right where you're looking with the crosshair or something. It could be based on how the person wants to use it. If they want to be able to look at the ground and have it kind of burst that location, I could see how they'd want it to be a crosshair sort of thing. If they always know they just want to use this for somebody that's right in front of them because of the stunning effect, then I could see them maybe wanting to invest in such a way where it's only going to go out a short fixed distance. And that could be two different ways to invest points into that ability to convert it to an action target ability.
I'd like to hear why they think somebody would go from tab target to action, because I think it would most likely be the opposite. Like, you're making it harder to hit people. Why would I invest points to make it harder for me to hit people? I think I would do the opposite.
That gets talked about a little bit further in. One of the examples is that all weapons have a cone to them. So when you swing, you're not just going to hit one specific enemy. You're going to hit everything within that cone of attack. So I believe it's the same thing with spells. Now, if you're only doing tab targeting and you've got a big fireball, think about it in D&D terms. Do you want to shoot a fireball at one thing that's going to hit two more things in the party? Or do you want to split it equidistant and hit all 8 things in the party? You want to, split it. You want to hit right in the middle of a circle of 8 so you can hit all of them. But you can't really do that with tab targeting because you don't have a way to vector it. They could make it that you could say, target this dude and target this dude. Now cast between the distance. But that starts getting into a really funky UI that I don't think they really want to delve into.
I mean, so what you're saying is, but you would still have an AoE with tab target.
Yeah, no, you'd still have the AoE, but instead of being able to center it in the middle of that group of 8, you're only going to be able to hit one person on the edge, and you're only going to hit a couple other people when you could have split the distance and hit all of them. So I think that's what the action really opens up the opportunity for.
I guess it'll be more interesting to see how that's going to affect my hotbar.
Yeah, I agree.
And they talk about hotbars.
Because then I would want both of those. I would want both the tab target and the action versions on my hotbar, I would imagine.
Potentially, there might even be a way to swap between the two.
Yeah. We will see. Let's keep going.
Skill points in order to unlock certain features of that skill, and then it becomes a tab or an action type skill. So what I'd like to show you is, let's see if we can find some monsters. We can look for something nearby. Okay, here we go. We got some macaws. Oh, macaws.
Or you just track.
So
I love how he just picked what was nearby and then
not
complains that he's murdering
one of the
these macaws.
things I'm going to show you is essentially the weapon attack. So you see on the queue down here we have it's a Silver Guardian weapon.
Fancy shield.
Okay. So this is a
the world
rare,
looks great. The art's
level
awesome.
10 weapon.
Oh yeah,
It's not
definitely.
too bad. But these guys I think are low, or like level 1. As you can see, I'm currently in the tab mode, essentially. Oh, look at the poor little thing fly.
How did we see
Really
that?
sad if I have to kill it. Wow, he's really moving. This thing's
He
happening
indicates
all
that
over
it's
the place.
tab mode by the fact that
I can click and I can
it's
target.
aiming at the thing with the little circle underneath it and the name tag at the top. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't really indicate it very clearly. it's something that's very difficult to visually tell and explain. Is like, here's the mechanics and the feel of how you play the game. You can only get so much of that from a video, especially I feel like
I
not
think he's
necessarily.
basically saying that he tapped and then it popped up.
Yeah, and that's it.
Well, and you'll see. He'll do some.
Yep,
He'll do a little
let's
bit.
watch.
I can tab target if I want to. So tab between that. So this is the traditional kind of tab targeting. I can, my camera movement is not tied to my cursor. I can kind of look around and do kind of stuff like that. I can look at my cool silver sword. Yeah, but players can very easily transition between tab targeting and action combat. By pressing Z, I now tie my cursor movement to my camera, and additionally, a reticle has spawned. Now, like I said previously, UI here is relatively rudimentary and very early, but essentially, as I hover over targets with this reticle, I will get indicators through color and highlights on the reticle that will tell me essentially either distance to the target, whether or not a skill that I might have prepped could hit the target from this distance. I can left click and tab target a target currently. Now we'll change that to be right click. Right now it's left click, but it should be right click. And additionally, I can, when targeting an enemy this way, I can utilize my tab targeting skills. So I'll try to hook this dude. Come on over, little buddy. And my left click will attack. And I can use my kind of movements here. Another important thing to note, let's see if we can get a few of these guys, is that all weapons have a forward cone to some degree. Based on the weapon type, it'll change. Pole arms, for example, will have a much wider arc and much further out. Daggers will have a more fine-tuned arc, so you have to be more precise in that regard. So if I pull this sword, if I pull a few of these macaws, let's see if we can grab a few of them. Come on over, buddies. So we have a few macaws here. Little buddies, I feel horrible. But you'll see as I attack, I'm hitting multiple numbers of these opponents. And that's important because all weapons, regardless of if you're in reticle mode or tab targeting mode, you will be able to have a action-based type weapon attack. Not active skill, but weapon attack. Let me pull this guy. So, that's an important note. Weapons each have their own unique and individual forward arcs and distance that they deal damage to a target. Let's see if we can go over here and I'm gonna grab this little plant. What's up, buddy? Give me your goods. Should be some stuff here. Now, obviously, as I've said in the past, action, combat, and tab are two very different tempos. And, if we had to go through and rework kind of combat not to be hybrid, I would lean more in favor of tab targeting with high mobility and a lot of template type attacks to kind of represent that more skill-oriented combat. But I think that through testing in alpha and beta, but especially alphas, that we will be able to fine-tune this so that it sits comfortably between the two different types of speeds, essentially. Oh, we got some mushrooms. Kill these mushrooms.
He goes to kill the mushrooms, then he doesn't want to kill the one that seems tougher. Come on, what's all that fancy
Another thing
armor
that's
for?
important about kind of these action combats is the ability to kind of dodge and kind of moving out of the way of certain skill shots. And oh, that's a death cap. I don't think we want to do that one. Yeah, that's
Do it. Do it.
yeah, so
Oh,
it's going to be
Shrewd
interesting to see
Pro,
players.
if you want a tank that's able to aim, you just have someone that uses a spear and is trained in only straightforward thrust. And then,
I mean, it's a great point, right? we can get to all this at the end. I think this part of the
Yeah.
video is actually almost done. Yeah, we'll come back to that because it's a good point.
Sounds good.
Oh, here we go. It's going to be interesting to see essentially players kind of testing out this hybrid combat, seeing how it feels, getting an idea for essentially the balancing that's going to be required and hosting different types of CC effects across the different targeting methods, and iterating on this. And you guys are going to be a part of that every step of the way, giving great feedback as all of you do normally, which we appreciate on our Discord or forums or Reddit. It's always great to get kind of player feedback. Go bad for this crab. Bacon made this crab.
Bacon.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at the hybrid combat system, and feel free to leave some comments, and I will see you guys back on stream here momentarily. Later.
I feel like he starts and stops streams the same way as I do, which makes me feel better. So it's a good point. When I start hearing this switching between tab and action, initially this never crossed my mind, but as Shrewd mentions in chat, immediately it's like, oh, CC, because that will be needed here. He has said, Stephen has, actually in the video mentioned CC. And so you will have to have members, group members, guild members that are able to, since every weapon has this arc, right, that are going to have to pay attention. So I actually think it's kind of exciting. The days of CC kind of passed quite a while. I mean, how many expansions ago with World of Warcraft? So, I mean, now it's just everything down. So it's a great point. Which I think is good. You start building those reputations again about actually being a good player, which is what.
I'm hoping that there's more to CC than temporarily incapacitate these things and then surgically work around them, because that's boring to me, and it doesn't create a realistic picture. It's like the ones that aren't knocked out automatically go for the loud angry dude with the shield. That I don't buy that. I don't like that modality, and I think they can do better here. And obviously, since there's still a long way to go, they can do better here. I wasn't saying that what they've been doing is bad necessarily, but the way I see it, it's why don't you guys go, and then I'll come back, because I might be talking for a while.
Well, we got a show coming up Sunday.
Yeah,
we can build on all
you're
this.
gonna rant. I mean,
we can do that Sunday. Yeah, it just is. Well, I'm curious. We're going to get into this conversation Sunday.
well,
So
I was just gonna say that I would be curious about what he said around tab, target, and action having different speeds. That seems like that would be a PvP issue. But
there are a lot of there's a lot of, I think, balancing issues, which is probably why my understanding, they spend all of the time at APOC to try to perfect the parts at least of action combat. So I think now when
but that's not going to help.
Well, no, what I was
between action versus
that's what I was getting.
Speed.
Well, and that's what I was getting to, is when he says that there's that this is a very early state. There's still a lot of work to be done, and I assume a lot of it is that how do you mix these things together to where they feel right both ways, they balance right both ways. And Neuro, what I was going to say, and I'll save this for a later conversation, is there are some people that enjoy CC. There are some people that like being the enchanter. No,
I'm not saying that they shouldn't be able to do that. What I'm saying is that crowd control should be more interesting, active, and engaging than that. That the reason why the enemies stop and turn towards this big brute that's been yelling at them is because they're stunning them, that they're, hitting them in the legs, tripping them up. They're running into them and bashing them. They're, knocking them off balance, making it physically difficult to just hold their footing and lay blows on some other member of the party to
Or
where
mentally difficult.
or mentally difficult. There's many different ways to do it. It could be that they're, charmed, or there's some sort of hallucination or whatever, and half the time they're running around swinging at mirror duplicates of people, not sure which one's the real one or not, until they've swung a couple times and they're sure, okay, I'm definitely swinging at air now, I need to move to the next one. But I feel like that's a much better model for CC, as well as giving more of those CC tools as a fair mechanic for the NPCs to be able to use against players evenly. The idea that an NPC would be able to mesmerize a team, and now you've got 2 to 3 versions of every enemy out there that you're not sure which one's the real one or not. There's definitely ways to make an enemy that, sure, you want to take care of the archers that are behind them, but if you try to just run past, you're going to get punished for it. So you have to kind of work through the first one before you can get to the next one, sort of things. That's a lot more of what I'm hoping to see, is that the things are being controlled because they're being controlled, because there's something getting in the way and preventing them, not just, okay, sneak, sneak, sneak. All right, knock them out, knock them out, knock them out. Okay, now there's only 2 of them left awake, so we can kill them and then kill the other ones. That's boring. Come on. That also creates a sort of gameplay that I think is, it's a limiting sort of gameplay loop, that you have to play that way if that's the way the game is designed. And the kind of downside to that is it means you can't go through any other way. You can't just go marauding through with a bunch of blasters. You have to only take on 2 of the 5 at a time, because that pack was designed to be, able to wipe a team of 8 otherwise, unless you come in a little overpowered for it. So, I mean, I'm really hoping to see a lot of that, like breaking through the old-fashioned MMO paradigm with that, in terms of, crowd control and player agency and enemy agency, and how they're going to interact and pick their targets and follow through on those things.
Phantom, what is our timestamp, and how? I don't know. I think you are going to be doing a lot of editing, so that doesn't really tell us.
21 minutes, 30 seconds. There's still a lot to go, so I can certainly jump around. This is relaxing. We're just hanging.
I mean, it's our first time trying it like this. It's 9:45 my time, so if it's going to end up being another 2 hours, that's a long time. That's all I'm saying. So I'm just wondering. I'm curious how we're doing, but keep going.
We can always do this another time.
So
yeah, I just have no clue, because we haven't done it before,
I have no clue either. You're asking the wrong person.
I'm just
so why don't I push play?
So yeah, if I remember correctly, the next major thing they showed after this was the castle siege stuff.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All right.
So I mean, we
with
passed
that,
by the lawnmower
feel-
person interrupting Maggie there, and we could just skip straight over to that one.
Like there's
It's
a lot of questions in the chat that we've
we
already
can, if you
answered
want, we
quite a
can
bit
just
of.
kind of talk over it and let it play. If you can lower the volume.
It's fine, because I think Phantom's going to end up doing editing anyway, so I'm not
In
super
regards
worried.
to
but
blocking,
just wondering.
more abilities than just the abilities that obviously they saw there. So I don't know if you want to kind of like touch base on some of those other things that you might have seen in chat. But again, I think a lot of those questions we've answered before, and this is early implementation again. So
yeah, it's early implementation.
One
Again,
of the most important things that you guys are seeing that obviously the team loves to see the excitement, the the feedback about how great the game looks and all that kind of stuff. That's very important to us. But really, what the purpose is of going into these alpha phases is going to be is getting data, getting logs, getting the actual feeling feedback from the players. And there's a long way to go in making combat what it needs to be. I've said this in the past, the design team knows this, we all know this. Combat is the most tactile system in the game. It's the thing you will experience most often. And outside of the systems and mechanics that are going to be present for kind of the overarching core gameplay loop, combat needs to feel responsive. It needs to not feel floaty. It needs to feel mobile. It needs to be fluid. It needs to give a feeling of satisfaction. The audio components, the effects components, the animations themselves, the types of skills, and those types of things. All of those are really kind of our objective in fine-tuning the approach for our combat in Ashes of Creation. And I just want to make sure that you guys are aware, as we go through these alphas, it's going to be rapidly changing. There might be several prototypes we attempt to play with the live audience. That's the best way I think that we as a development team can yield a successful system in combat, is that type of iteration, that type of player involvement. Jeff?
Yeah, just
I have
getting
a
that
feeling,
feedback from the
though,
players
that
immediately, like that's one of the reasons.
the older we get, the less interested in combat we are, or we become. I wouldn't not phrase it quite like that, but the more interested in other stuff besides combat we become, just because time and all that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's the thing that, like, I'm not going to say that combat is the thing that contextualizes all other activity of the game, but it is one of the major driving things. And, all of your attributes and your equipment and your build and everything,
it has been. That doesn't mean it should be. Some of us are going to be more focused on farming and animal husbandry, and, we might be focused on a lot of other stuff if we had charisma skills or different types of dexterity skills. Doesn't always have to be combat.
I agree that it needs to have all of that for sure, but combat needs to be good too. Because a garbage combat system will ruin a game real fast.
Too, but I'm saying there's so much of a focus, and it would be nice. How many years is it going to be now? It's 20 years since EverQuest, 21. It'd be nice to have a different system than doing the same thing we were doing 20 years ago.
Why we've chosen to kind of expose ourselves this way rather than kind of waiting until we're about to launch to kind of let everybody know what we're planning on doing, right? Like, these are systems that combat specifically, where feel and flow is so important to how the game feels overall, and getting that feedback from you guys as you're playing it, early on, before we really committed so far that we can't change it easily, is super important. So that's, again, like why we try to give you guys the inside baseball and everything that's going on with our studio, so that we can make those decisions and change direction as rapidly as we need to.
Yes. Yeah.
My lawnmower person just got here, so people might be hearing my garden.
I could probably skip this
Did you
part.
call him your lawnmower person?
What I saw consistently was in regards to skills and abilities and how many people will have access to.
Here's your skill bar discussion.
The goal is not to overwhelm people with hotbars, right? And to make sure that we're making good decisions about how many buttons you actually need to press to accomplish a thing. But with that being said, this is also a build-based game, so how many buttons you are using kind of depends on you. You're going to be choosing between passives and active skills, and how you fill your hotbar is kind of up to you. So
one of the things we've said in the past, is the things that I've disliked, at least personally, about MMOs that I've played before, is that as you go through different phases of leveling, you have relevant skills, and then eventually sometimes you end up with like a skill menu where you have half of them available, but none of them are relevant at your end game or higher level stages.
I like this part.
We're trying to mitigate that as much as possible by making active skills capable of receiving additional skill point allocations and unlocking additional features, so that from a player agency standpoint, it's going to be up to you whether or not you want to be more diverse but less depth, right? Wider and not taller. in some of these skill choices, or if you want to be very, very tall. That's going to be something that is up to the player in that regard. There will be multiple hotbars that you obviously have available because you're going to have consumables, you're going to have, active skills and whatnot. But the
All my
number of
mounts.
active skills,
I'm just kidding.
all your mounts, exactly. But the number of active skills are not going to try to overwhelm necessarily the character and be kind of, irrelevant, especially at certain stages.
And I know it seems like most people are happy about the no add-ons, but in regards to UI elements and things like that, we're really trying to make them be, you can move them around, you can adjust them and things like that. So we'll try to, we want to give you those tools and make them be part of the system. And if you have, features that you'd like in the future, obviously, like, those things will take time. But, when community managers are kind of taking in that feedback, we'll toss those over to the design team, and they'll take into account what things they want to add to the milestones as we progress. So keeping that in mind, we're definitely going to try our best to make sure that it's, very smooth for all of you.
Yeah, from a UI customization standpoint, regardless of whether or not we open APIs or no add-ons, that kind of
No add-ons,
had a stance against that. But the UI implementation will be highly customizable, whether
Add-ons
it
are
be
cheating.
from a resizing, a movement,
they are.
a recoloring,
Sometimes.
different types of actual UI flavors that will be presented and offered to players as well. We want to have a very, very robust UI system. So we know that that's something that's kind of more
Hopefully
personally
free.
oriented in people's kind of preferences rather than something that can be a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to move on to the next video, which is going to talk about more Castle Siege oriented things? I do want to preface before we go to this video that obviously we used some GM hacks. You wouldn't be able to run around like we were and lose the mobs that easily.
Yes, and also I'd like to preface that the castle you see here is really intended for what systems will be able to have online by Alpha 1 for certain Castle Siege testing.
Small.
We did, it's very small. So it's maybe 1/4 of the size of an actual castle at launch, and there will be a lot more inner corridors and rooms and multiple portcullises and gates and stuff like that. We have shown in the past a little bit of the destruction physics of castles, so you won't see that in this video. We're just kind of taking you around and talking a little bit about the castle system for especially those of you who are new and might not have received a lot of information about castle sieges. That's kind of what this video goes over a little bit.
Switching over to that.
Hello everybody! Welcome to another video. We are recording here not live. This is pre-recorded. It is Thursday, August 27th at 5:53 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am joined by Tiny Toast, the tiniest of toasts currently, and also by Leperzo, not Leperza, Margaret Crow.
I changed my character, and my other character's name is Leperza, so here we are.
So we just wanted to kind of showcase a little bit of the castle implementation. We're just going to take you over near the castle and talk a little bit about it. You are still on the Alpha Island, but we are hoping to get castles online for some activity in Alpha 1. We're just going to kind of run around and show off the castle at its current state, which is owned by NPCs because no players have taken it. Want to head over there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yee.
Just watch out for the mushrooms. There's a few of them on the way.
Oh, are there some mushrooms?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Can we cook them? Capture them?
Saute them.
That'd be awesome.
Ooh. We had stuffed mushrooms last night. I put it in the food channel.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That looked really good.
It was pretty yummy. I like how you're on
Will
that
players
scale
be
runner.
able to create stuffed mushrooms?
The
That's a
scout
good
runners
question.
cracks me up. Well, the mount you're on too is really funny.
Oh, the,
Yours looks
Desert
so
mount.
majestic with its long legs, like a gazelle.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like a
Meanwhile,
gazelle.
me.
Your legs are so funny.
So up here you can see one of the castles. Probably those of you guys who participated in the Apocalypse testing recognize this castle in particular. This is a bacon constructed castle. This is a little bit smaller than actually the size of the castles and how they'll actually be in the game at launch. But this kind of will be
Now,
more
wait a
facilitating
minute here.
smaller battles, I think, in Alpha 1.
What?
That's a teeny little thing. Like, is that supposed to be in the center of a larger walled area? Or I guess this is a tier 1, isn't it?
Well, they also said this is about a fourth of the size of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but when we get to see the interior, it doesn't look like something 4 times as wide on the interior as that is really going to be able to hold an entire...
No, that's not what they said.
Yeah, it's going to be much larger.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, what I'm looking at is the idea of, is this something whereby, as it would expand the internal spaces where all of the assets and features of the town are at, or is this specifically...
No, this is a castle. This is outside of the node. This is outside of the expansion of a node.
Okay.
Yeah, this would be Castle Siege.
Gotcha.
Gets very confusing.
But initially, as probably most of you are aware, before players do actually take castles, they will be owned by monsters. So this one is currently owned by monsters. And basically how it's going to work is guilds will be capable of signing up to attack these castles. And, we've kind of talked a little bit about this in the past, but the guild that signs up to attack, multiple guilds may do so. They're going to initially be fighting these monsters and killing a raid boss that'll be kind of in the center of the castle. And what we're thinking right now is that in order to initially take the castle from the NPC control, rather than using the normal sealing mechanic that's cast on the center relic, instead the raid boss will be essentially killed by the number of players out there, and the highest contributing damage to the raid boss for the initial capture of the castle will be the determining factor for the guild. We're going to test this, obviously. We have a couple of other ideas as well. The whole purpose of Alpha and the betas is to test these ideas and see how they play out. Now, there's a lot of stuff outside of just killing, the raid boss that's important to take a castle. There are objectives in the interior of the castle, specific waypoints that you want to capture, and this will aid kind of in progressing to the raid boss eventually. But let's dismount and see if we can head in. I know we're only 3, but whoops.
I believe in us.
Yeah, I think we might be able to.
We'll have to use some GM hackery, probably.
Yeah, I think the 3 of us combined with the tiny might of Tiny Toast and the strong staff of Luperzo, we could potentially do this. Let's see.
I mean, you can see your reflection in my armor.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I love that
Pretty
armor.
majestic.
I like the little plume on top, actually. Let me take a look at that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's like waving in the wind.
I could not actually confirm that you could see them in their armor. I'm hoping that's true. But
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. All right, let's head
That's
in
where all
there.
your ideas come from.
Yeah. So you can see there kind of interior. Like I said, this is smaller than what would normally be the castle size, but the relic is kind of exposed there. The raid boss isn't present at the moment. These guys are... they are
Our
elite
powers
mobs.
combined.
So normally you would have a full party, that would be fighting.
and here's
these
where we
two.
get into some of the fun CC questions.
Yeah, because it just kind of
Whoops.
ran straight by, and then, now
Whoops.
he's attacking it from behind.
And I like his
And someone
answer to it.
else- No, it's they blink past.
We are cheating a little bit, by the way, or at least I'm cheating. You can see the other party members have a few hundred hit points, and I bumped myself up.
I'll give you some mana.
Oh, nice. Did you give me mana?
Now I give you mana.
Oh, the mana friendship.
I'm guessing the casters were using tab targeting there.
There's a lot of smoke.
Well,
A lot of fire.
I mean, she pulled one accidentally,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Get 2 mages in here.
Oh no.
Oh no.
We'll switch into action, or actually, let's see. I'm gonna train the room.
Train the room,
It's
huh?
ridiculous.
Oh, I have a lot of hit points. You guys.
Well, he said there he was going to switch to action.
Oh no. Oh god.
Someone's on my butt.
Oh, there's like little flowers in here. Wait for it. Okay.
Oh no, he reset.
These guys are all
Where'd you
reset.
go?
I kind of ran into the center. I was seeing whether or not the
Ooh, I'll follow you.
boss had spawned yet. Where's the?
Here I come.
Yeah, let's come with me. Another important thing to note, by the way, I think we need a full group for this stuff, but another important thing to note is, during the siege, these gates will be closed, the portcullises will be closed, all of the walls are destructible. You guys have seen some of the destruction videos in the past, kind of how this stuff happens. But players will be able to come prepared with siege weaponry. They'll have trebuchets. They'll have the ladder things. What are those things called? I can't remember now. The towers, the siege towers, that they can utilize.
Those are useful to have.
Out here.
Ladder things.
We're trying to kill this thing.
Oh no, you guys are gonna die for sure.
Well, not just ladder things. Actual siege towers are.
I like how-
pretty
Yeah,
useful.
I like how he just sort of
we're
ran
aiming
away
to
too.
have some of the basic castle.
They're still
Yeah, he
fighting
trained
us
everything and
for
ran
Alpha
away,
1.
didn't he?
Those of you guys who I don't know if we showed actually any of the castle siege testing in Apocalypse, but
He froze me.
oh, how did he freeze you?
I've been blocked.
Oh, he's an occultist.
He is. He's got some of
The
things
pace
inside
seems
you.
slow, but I have to remind myself that normally you'd have a group of 8.
Compared to Pantheon, or what was
I
it that
think
we watched? Or
Everything.
Pathfinder?
Probably gonna make him
The
leash.
pacing, I think, is
No.
probably fine because they want to
Good
give
thing I
people
cheated
room
on
to
that
make
with
good
my,
decisions and be tactical.
Health up a little
yeah,
bit.
this seems
Yeah.
fine.
This is, a raid boss that 40 people are supposed to be banging on, so, or a group of 40 people.
What are some of
supposed to
the
be
favorite sieges you guys have participated in the games you've
Well,
played?
not yet. These are just the sort of beginning. Right. The main boss would
really
be
loved,
somewhere in the middle.
Warhammer Online's PvP.
Yeah, you're right.
And Dark
But,
Knight
Still,
Rises,
you're
like,
expected to
both
bring
of
a whole
those
group.
were-
This
Yeah,
isn't
I mean,
something that-
yeah, and that's what I was saying. I have to remind myself there should be 5 other people there.
For
So
me,
Well, and also this isn't really a castle siege.
This may actually
This is
be the
combat
first
at a
time
castle.
where
So
I'm
it'd be much
participating
faster.
in a large-scale siege PvP personally, so I am super excited to jump in and test and try out all this stuff with you guys.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. You've
Or
never
it might
done
have
large-scale
been-
sieges?
Back in if we're thinking of Ragnarok Online, I think had some sieges, but that's probably the last time I did. So kicking it back old school.
We're in a circle around this thing. Ragnarok Online, yeah, that's pretty cool. I also enjoyed Warhammer Online. That was a great game.
Yeah, I didn't care so much for the PvE content, but the PvP content I really liked, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it was. I liked the arenas
It's such a
that
weird
they had
looking
in
mount.
Warhammer Online.
yeah, the back legs
Yeah.
threw me off.
That was a lot of fun to me.
And some of the ways
They hover
their abilities work
for a
and stuff
split
like
second.
that. As a tank, I thought it was really cool how I could take the damage for somebody else and stuff like that. It's really neat.
Yeah. Another important thing to note about castles in Ashes is that they actually, we should be facing the camera. There you go. Let's go like
Ooh,
that.
okay, there you go.
Get
ano-
close, smile.
So this is some interesting information
Another thing
too.
to note about the castles is they do
Too close toast.
have
Too close.
a lot of trophies for the guilds that manage to take them and keep them. As a matter of fact, the benefits for holding a castle actually get greater the longer a guild holds onto its castle. So each cycle, which is a 30-day cycle before it gets sieged again, the benefits of the castle get stronger. They exert control and pressure over the region, one of the 5 main economic regions they exert control over. They can levy taxes against the nodes under them. They can establish essentially the quote-unquote king's presence or queen's presence within the node system. that grants benefits to the citizens that are under its rule. And they can have special relationships established with the mayors as well to help participate in kind of building up the nodes that spawn around the castle, these castle dedicated nodes. They're not tied into the structure of the general world node structure, but
Right, that's the
they're kind
part.
of dedicated to helping to build up the castle's defenses and the economic benefits that come along with owning the castle. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little insight to one of the castles that is going to be present in Alpha 1, and
Can't wait to
we'll
wreck
see you
it.
guys back on stream.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
End of the year. End of the year. End of the year.
I know, Diggs, you just want to look at all the relics. I want to wreck it.
My issue is that was
Well,
castle
seems like
siege.
y'all
That
liked
was
that and
castle
enjoyed
siege.
it.
We should be
And you got
tearing
a
the
little
walls down, which
toast
we didn't get to see.
cameo in there. She was
Not
cracking
yet.
up.
And that's what I would be
I
doing. That's
know
my
there were
form
a
of
few
PvP. I'll
comments and
tear walls down. I
concerns.
just want.
That's true. I do remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Well, and I think he mentions either before or coming up that that they did remove that part for this video, but that's not, that will be there. That was
Yeah,
apparently.
I'm just saying that's not castle siege that we saw. That was just combat at a castle.
You are absolutely right.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you there.
In regards to obviously the difficulty of that, because as Steven said, you're going to have to like break down gates, you're going to have to like kind of progress and
Right.
push. It's not going to be that easy. We're just kind of showing like
Yeah. Just to be
So they
clear,
show a bunch of
when
art.
we were running in there, so when the castle
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So, we got time.
Well,
right?
art is nice. We can definitely, look and talk about some of the stuff for
occurs,
sure.
it'll be
that
different
turtle
when
I
you
video.
go.
say let's go
That's
for another
just kind
20
of
minutes
in
and
its
then call it
unowned state.
a night
Sounds
and
good.
continue later.
Yeah.
If
Continue
there's no
tomorrow and all
owner,
that, but-
there will be little monsters, and you can kind of go in and fight on the off siege time when it's not siege time. Then when siege time occurs, guilds will have a week period of time where they can kind of register and come and attack. And during the 2-hour-long siege, that's when everything changes. The portcullises go down, the gates go down. You'll need siege weaponry. There's going to be specific objectives within the castles that you'll have to conquer, and then there'll be if it's an unowned castle, it'll need to have a raid boss at the center that kind of gets fought for. Attackers can fight each other during that experience. It's going to be a contesting thing. Once the castle is owned by a guild, that's when the supporting castle nodes start to come online and spawn each week prior to the 4th week castle siege. And they'll have to form alliances. They'll have to get support. They'll have to get resources. They'll be able to allocate funds that have been collected through taxation in order to strengthen the defenses, as well as hiring additional NPC mercenaries, that type of thing. So there's a lot of systems that go into the castle sieges. Really, we were just kind of showing off the castle itself and kind of running around and the little monsters that are present there. So.
yeah, and the AI is
if you
not
just take a look
finalized
at
either.
that, like it is, it's all kind of populated for the level ranges that we're going for right now, and only really populated for group content. These will actually be raid
Oops. Did not mean to pause that.
level stuff, so you're going to need really large raids in order to kind of take these things from the NPCs who live there, and then also contest with other guilds that are also trying to do the same thing. So it's not exactly representative. It's a good approximation maybe, but certainly it's not going to be what the final thing is going to look like.
100%. And something that might not have been revealed previously, but each week leading up to the siege week, right? So it's a 4-week
This part's
period
interesting.
of time that the castle is owned. Each week is a week that's dedicated to one of the 3 castle dedicated nodes. So around the castle there are 3 nodes. They represent week 1, 2, and 3, and then the 4th week is the siege against the castle. Those can only be elevated up to stage 3. We've discussed this, in the past, and there's definitely information out there on the community ran wiki and other stuff. But what we haven't expressed is that on the tax collection side, castles do collect taxes from their region, which encompasses 1/5 of the world territory, and within those regions are nodes that spawn, right, naturally. And at the end of each week, there is a period of time on the weekend where NPC generated caravans from those nodes start moving towards one of the castle nodes. And during that period of time, it's incumbent on the owning guild and its allies, or even the citizens of the nodes that fall under its purview, to escort those caravans to the castle's dedicated one of 3 nodes. Those caravans carry the castle taxes. So the incentive to essentially attack those caravans as they move to build the castle dedicated nodes on the enemies of that guild are very high, not only because of the reward that you can reap in kind of sabotaging that tax collection, but also in destabilizing or reducing the defensive capability of the castle itself, because it depends on those dedicated nodes around the castle in order to have strong.
He looks like I can't wait.
Defenses. Now, citizens of nodes that fall under the purview of the castle may not participate in the attack of those caravans. They are automatically registered as the defenders of those caravans. And
So real quick, I thought that was sort of interesting. They're removing the choice to sabotage your own, because they said citizens can't enlist in attacking the castle. So if you're a citizen of whoever owns the castle node or whatever, you have to defend it. You're automatically registered as a defender, which I thought was interesting, because a lot of where I've been going from an RP perspective in my head is how to kind of be underhanded, right, but not on a very visible level necessarily. So that seemed interesting to me, that they would sort of remove that. I guess it makes kind of sense, but
It's not removed. You're just going to have to use your
Well-
diplomacy instead of, right?
Well,
You're going to have to
or I
talk
could no
to
longer,
other people.
or I could say I'm no longer going to be a citizen. But at that point, I'm obviously declaring I'm not for you. I would like to have it more so where I could
I'm saying
sabotage.
you don't. Sabotage means you go convince other people to come do what you can't do directly.
You have a point. But I
figure if you're a citizen and they let you open a door at a vulnerable place that wouldn't otherwise be able to be opened, that's pretty good sabotage right there.
All right, you got.
that's important because certain benefits, it's a reciprocal relationship between the castle and its nodes.
Throw a rope
essentially.
down.
There are benefits granted to citizens of the castle, and the longer that the castle remains in the hands of its incumbent guild, the stronger the benefits become overall. But at the same time, that represents a greater incentive to attack the castle, because the rewards will get greater over time also. So just to give you a little bit more information on it.
Awesome. And I did notice some folks commenting like, Steven really loves zooming all the way out with his camera. You can totally zoom in with your camera. You don't have to have it zoomed out that far.
That's true. I'm one of the zoom out MMO players. I know that there's a spectrum of people and where they live on that from a zoom standpoint, but I love seeing everything around me. And that's usually because when I played MMOs, I used to have a large guild, and we had large raids, and I always had to kind of know what was going on all over the place. So,
yeah, I think for raids I always go
always
max, but like for when I'm just running around and stuff, I kind of give the cinematic zoom in, But I noticed some comments in regards to that, so I just wanted to make a note of it.
That's actually a conversation me and Steven have a lot, where hey Steven, is this camera distance okay? No.
Yeah.
More.
Must have maximum zoom.
And there was a question regarding first person, if you can zoom in and see things first person. I'm assuming we'll allow that as well. With some MMOs too.
You could zoom in, but you will not have the traditional first person type animations where you see your arms.
Your arms, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you could zoom all the way into your character and get that kind of camera perspective from the eyes, but you're not going to get any of the correlating typical first person animations with arms and stuff like that.
Yeah, so similar to a lot of other MMOs out there.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've covered both of those. We still have a lot more to go through, and we don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to swap us over. So there's going to be a weird
So now comes some of the art.
situation for a moment. If y'all give me a moment for that.
And I can kind of move this because she has to do something a little
Where are we
bit.
going to show?
Promise.
There we go.
Hold me to it. I know Jalon will. No, I'm just kidding. I just like trolling. So first and foremost, we're going to talk a little
Landmark,
bit
anyone?
about the junior city gate that you see here. And there's also a lot of little intricacies that we're going to show off in some other assets as well. And this first one is kind of like giving you the feel of what that gate is going to look like. This isn't even the whole city itself. But I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit about that, and then I can show as well the lamps and some of the props as well, and how those integrate with nodes as they progress, like level 1 to all the way to level 6.
Jeff, why is everybody telling you to put as much water in your mouth as possible?
I don't know.
It's because when you
I'm from a really
drink-
big Yeti, so I don't know, maybe.
Oh,
I wasn't
Because they
part
can
of
see,
chat,
like,
so I have no idea
all
what
the
they're
water
talking
slushing around in your mouth. It's weird. I don't know.
is it like does he have like translucent lips or something?
I don't know. I think when he like laughs and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So
Now it's probably
this
harder
is,
to see because it's kind of blurry.
This is a concept piece showing kind of the architectural designs for the Junior Stage 5 city. This piece in particular is really focused on the outer walls. One important thing to note about the way that nodes essentially get established is we're now utilizing a platform system as these nodes kind of get constructed in real time. And it's semi-procedural. Obviously, there's parameters that we set, and those parameters dictate the placement of specific buildings that adhere to the designs for both sieges, as well as the roads that exist and the location of specific services and/or merchants. But what that ensures is that every node will have a unique appearance. It will be distinct to itself. And even if it gets leveled up multiple times, there's an opportunity there where the node platform design gets changed for each progression, so to speak. And this is great from an immersion standpoint, obviously, because you're not going to see cookie cutter type nodes you're not going to see cookie cutter type city layouts and node designs. It's going to be fresh kind of each time. And they're not going to be like, oh, this is every node's a rectangle kind of thing. They're going to be natural,
That's not
immersive,
immersive,
looking like
but,
normal cities and stuff.
We're going to have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and so this next one is kind of the lamps, and you can kind of see the progression as, it goes from, a town all the way up to, I think this is like Metropolis-ish. It depends, and there might be another stage in there, but kind of gives you...
No, you can kind of see the node 3 and 4 is like village and town. Node 4 to 5 is like town to city, and then node 5 to 6 is city to metropolis. So you can kind of get a sense there.
Mm-hmm. And then the next one we have here is also some junior braziers.
The art's really fantastic.
Not braziers.
Those don't look like bras. Right.
Brazier.
Wow.
Brazier. I know, it's like a weird words, man. English. But yeah, it's really cool seeing like the different progression and like the style and how fancier things get as we go up.
This is really kind of a testament to not just the concept artists on the team and their great job kind of showing off these ideas, but also to the environment team and just the sheer realm of possibilities that we're going to include in the game from not just a architecture and building standpoint, but also reflected in the prop designs as well. So a lot of these props are going to not necessarily be reused. You're not going to see the same brazier present in the Metropolis stage as you would in the Village stage. It's all going to be immersive and make sense visually as players see progression, because these are the central hubs of really the game. This is where pretty much every system ties into the nodes. So we want to make sure that as players are present in those nodes, that it's not only visually aesthetic, but it also it visually makes sense as well.
Well, you gotta get fancy, man.
It's one of those things that the detail work really matters when you're trying to tell a story and trying to provide like a cohesive look to things, right? The details are really important, and so that's why we share these things. It's like we're not just thinking about the overall big gigantic walls, but like we get down to like the real detailed stuff and think about like, what does a denier brazier look like? What does a denier cup look like? What does a denier table look like? So we're thinking about all of these things, on a really micro level in order to tell this story and make the story make sense at a glance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next one we have here are kind of like a bunch of different bookshelf options. We are, you know, putting a lot of effort into like even the smaller little pieces that you're going to see on that front as well. So these are, I believe, the smaller bookshelves version. A little shorter. You can see the little dwarf there next to them as well for scale.
Gotta make sure.
But what's in the books?
Yeah,
Yep.
they have to reach the book.
What's
Very
in the
important.
books?
I don't know
What's
if they'll
in
be able
the
to get to the
books?
top shelf there. Maybe if you get like a little
They
step
have like
ladder.
a little stool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my life,
dwarf
man.
tiptoes.
Like my life is I always have to carry around one of those little step ladders. All right. Oh,
She's
someone's
not
like
that
Maggie to
tiny.
scale. Pretty much, yeah. Or toast. Both shorties. And then the taller bookshelf is this one. So pretty. Even like the little details on like where the shelves interlock with the sides of the, what do you call it? The boards is really pretty too.
Yeah, I will
This
say,
is the one
you know,
where
one thing
the
that's
only one
that's
I don't
very
like the progression.
important,
I feel like the last one's
to me
worse than
Are
the
they
first one.
setting up,
progression? I don't know
to
that they're
make Ashen
progression, are they?
creation
I think they're just
is
examples of different
not
ones.
just keeping this high level perspective of, you know, these grand systems, but making sure that at the most minute detail point, that really this
Sassy
this
last
product, this
dwarven ass.
project is created to a certain level of detail that is representative of the quality we want you as players to experience. And immersion's a very important factor, you know, for myself and for the team. And we want to make sure that that experience is whole, is really from the bottom to the top. You know, players are going to be immersed in this world, and a lot of that immersion really can stem from these finer details that might in other games be overlooked, but you know, all of them are part of that equation in creating an immersive experience.
Yeah, you might not notice it, but your brain does.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to our character art. Do you want me to just go straight to the video? I was gonna have it last. just
Straight
kinda
to the
like-
video.
I was gonna do it last, but we can go
Video.
first if you want.
We'll
All right.
ask chat. What does chat want? Video?
Oh, they're gonna want the
First?
video, right?
Well, you never
I always
know.
like to
They
end
might-
cap
I
on,
don't
you know.
I'll give you a hint. It has to do with turtles.
All right, we'll swap
So
to the
this
video and we'll
this
see y'all
surprised
in a
me.
moment
The size. Initially, I was not. Looks like a little baby turtle, right? Just wait, just watch. I really like the elements within the scales or the whatever it's called. You'll see.
It's a mount, so it's not a baby turtle.
Well, I didn't think of that to begin with until I saw a character on it, and I thought, damn.
Mm-hmm. I still might think, damn. We'll see.
Thought, what the hell do you feed it? What does
Anything
that
it
big of a
wants.
turtle eat?
Anything at once.
Yeah, other people. Actually, maybe we can get some sort of fatality, Mortal Kombat like.
User left your channel. User was moved out of your
Team
channel.
speak. Team speak. Yeah, this was like, oh, damn. Is that the same thing? The animations look really good.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, you're not allowed on my farm, Shukro.
No, run through a wall. He's not gonna run through a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. Bigger than an elephant.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that looks awesome. I mean,
Gonna get one?
it can't come back, right? It's the time to buy it's come and gone.
Oh,
Right?
I thought they said that it's going till September.
Oh, is that one that's now?
I thought so.
Okay, I'll have to look.
Oh, that's cool. We
That's
have very
romantic.
pretty little backgrounds.
Yeah, that's
So
what
starry.
my background is, a star background, because obviously I love space and stuff. So that's what they were looking at.
This
before.
That's what I thought.
Just the wrong scene.
Oh, they could always bring
But
things
I
back
love
for
turtles,
additional
so
scenes.
I love that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gotta be.
and just so you guys are aware, that is the
Shell of the Ancients.
Shell of the Ancients. Yeah, Shell of the Ancients. That was something that was limited to last year. I think it was last year, in one of the months. But it's always nice for you guys to take a look at, as these things kind of come online. You see, from the modeling perspective to the animation to the sounds to the eventually in-game.
Not the TeamSpeak sounds.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's. You guys heard the TeamSpeak sound thing. Yeah. So you guys get to see kind of that and really kind of understand the process and quality that goes into creating these assets.
Yeah, and we'll have other turtles and other different mounts that are coming out. We're just we don't want to show off too much of the stuff that you haven't necessarily seen in that realm, because we want stuff to be some semblance of a
To keep
surprise.
some surprises, yeah.
Yeah, some creature. We have some cool creatures that are in the works that we haven't quite shared, but I think it'll be cool when people get to experience that in, Alpha 2 when we swap over to the new creatures and things like that.
Hey, I see people in chat hating on TeamSpeak. I will have you know, TeamSpeak's a very good app, and it has
It's
a
very
lot
mature.
It's very mature. It has a lot of administrative
So
functions.
I don't think there's a lot more in the conversation until you get to the Q&A. And so the Q&A starts in about 3 minutes. So I think what we're going to do, that was the bulk of it. We're still obviously going to have a show. And I think there were 10 questions at the Q&A. And so probably save that for our show on Sunday.
Okay.
This was a very different sort of process for us. So, it's something I think we'll probably do again in the future. So certainly if you have feedback or anything, let us know. If it sounded right, if it didn't seem right, not engaging enough, I'm curious. In many ways it feels unnatural, and I kept forgetting to unmute myself. So, I do want to say one thing that I'm very, we're talking about the turtle mount, that I'm curious to see what happens, because it is an old mount. I cannot buy it at this point. Now we're going to start seeing a lot of these things come to life in the actual game world. And you couple that with, really in the last, month or two, their exposure, their followers, their fans have really tremendously gotten larger. Right, they've had a couple of big streamers make some very popular videos about it. I think the Lazy Peon did one that's like millions of views. So I really wonder if they don't later on come back and let you buy some of these things a little bit later.
I expect they will.
Pull them out of the vault to get that extra money.
I just need a Stufferton, because that was up right when my brother died, and I was dealing with this memorial, and then by the time I got out of that, it's gone, and I need a Care Bear. I am a Care Bear. I need to be riding on a Care Bear. But hopefully there'll be some equivalent of that in the game that I can acquire. So I think that's what they have been saying, is that there should be ways to acquire similar things in the game.
Well, I'm pretty sure I have one. I can always give it to you, because I will have no use for it. Actually, I don't think we can trade them. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Right. That was one of our early discussions or questions of Steven. Is that a roundabout way to buy yourself things with it, buy yourself influence within the game? But I have to assume, especially as their player numbers, their viewers increase, they're going to start bringing out some of the more popular items.
Yeah, that's kind of wild to have people coming in. I hadn't thought about that before, but they didn't do any advertising, and now people are starting to take notice, and then there's all this stuff that they can't.
APOC, they did briefly paid. It seemed to be paid. 4 or 5 streamers. They were not high. They were sort of mid-range. I mean, obviously more followers than we have, but they weren't your sort of co-carnage type people, right? And I don't think that went very well. And this time they sort of just spontaneously connected with a lot of people, and it really seems to have paid off. So. Now, I know Steven says, he's got this thing paid from start to finish on his own, but I have to
But
assume.
it's still meant to make money.
Yeah, I have to assume, you look and you say, we have 3 times as many people registered on our forums now. Maybe we offer more, we bring some of these things back and you do some sort of rotation schedule of bringing things out of the, quote, out of the vault like Disney does or something like that. But, so any other comments on any of the stuff we've seen? I'm going to pause the video. I didn't realize it was still going.
You can just keep it rolling. It's just going through the art stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I think a lot of good stuff, a lot of interesting stuff. I'm still frustrated that there's not a lot with regards to crafting, farming, artisan stuff. Not even really conversation. I don't expect it to be necessarily in-game stuff at this point. I don't expect that to be there for alpha when I join. I assume it will all be sort of more combat testing and other things within the world. But
They aren't ready to talk about it. That's stuff that they want to talk about later. Later.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Theodore. The my.com people who miss buying things. Now that they're switching away from that, I have to assume they'll open some of these things back up. I hope so, because there's you'd think we learned our lesson from some unnamed games we shall not name, and money we spent. But I think this game will release, so I'm 99% sure we'll get there. That 1% thing I'm not sure about is how nodes will operate. So anything else? Sorry, I kind of took over there.
No, that's great. Anytime you're talking is good.
Oh, I have plenty to say.
It's good stuff. Everything's looking like it's coming through a lot more, and they're feeling a lot more confident in sharing what they've been doing. But also at the same time, very much prefacing it with, none of this is permanent. It's all going to change. It's all, still in test. And once you folks get your hands on it, it could change dramatically. So, with that, it's one of those push-pull things. On one hand, you want to get something in our hands as quickly as possible so we can give that feedback. On the other hand, if you rush that, then the feedback might be more about the things that were rushed rather than, the things that you really want to give the feedback on. So I understand with all the things and everything this year that's thrown things off, trying to push it back towards the end of the year. And it makes sense. I've been saying it for a while that, even the middle of next year, the pandemic being resolved to the point where we can go back to offices is very optimistic. So, I feel for them trying to get back in the office and getting completely screwed on that. But it's, unfortunately, I expected that was going to be the case, and probably going to be a little bit longer. Obviously, the winter is not the best time to try to resolve a pandemic in this country. So, no, I do expect it's going to be sometime in the middle of next year when they finally start getting into the office again and start kind of getting back on track with the normalcy of that sort of dev environment.
All right. Well, thank everyone for coming out, hanging with us, watching the show. We will be back Sunday at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. Kind of going back over some more stuff. We have a whole section of Q&A to get to. There's actually a lot of things I've been wanting to talk about, death penalties and some other stuff. But we'll get there. So everyone have a good rest of the weekend. We'll see you in 2 days.
See you later. Have a good one, folks.